Today's podcast is all about detoxing and detoxing the right way. I'm Tony Robbins. This is Zestology, recorded live on the scene in Texas at Paleo FX in Austin. Been here for about a week now, and I'm currently strolling in the sunshine. The conference is almost finished. It's kind of winding down a little bit, and we've had such a good time. And detox, well, everyone wants to detox, right? Everyone wants to feel good. But I feel like the word detox has been hijacked so much that it's very hard to know the best way to detox. Because let's face it, you can walk down any aisle in the supermarket and you'll see products which use the word detox. But how do you know whether it actually works or not? Well, today's guest can help you with that. How do you know if a detox program which consists of drinking 7 sugary fruit juices a day is actually going to work or not? Clue, I don't think it's going to work that well for you. But I have enlisted at this festival, at this conference, the man who is probably the world's biggest expert in natural detox, Dr. Christopher Shade. He's a man who is highly respected. He's absolutely brilliant. He has helped, you'll hear him talk about this in the podcast actually. He worked with Tony Robbins when Tony Robbins tested for astonishingly high levels of mercury. And really, I think over the last few years, he's become pretty well known for that. He's also been on Tim Ferriss's podcast, which has helped him explode in popularity. And he knows his stuff when it comes to detox. So if you're interested in detoxing, if you're interested in cleaning yourself out and feeling good and getting rid of the bad stuff, which is probably not a particularly technical term for detox, but I'm going to roll with that one, then Dr. Christopher Shade is your man. Here he is on Zestology. Dr. Chris, shall I call you that? Dr. Christopher?
You can do that. That
How
works.
you doing?
Very good.
Good. I really enjoyed your presentation just then, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's interesting you were talking about some of the kind of misconceptions around detox and saying a lot of people think their heart sinks when they think of detox because they think, oh, it's going to be painful. And I've had experience of that as well. Bit of a reaction going too quickly. Does that put some people off?
Oh, it totally puts them off. And they're all worried about, I gotta make time to do this. They think they're going to be laid out. And all those reactions are from not lining up all the stages. It's from not getting a clean path out of the body. And then you get you start mobilizing toxins, but you get this backfire out of the liver. So instead of dumping it out through fecal excretion, you're just mixing it all up. And those are the reactions that people get.
Yeah, so you stir it up, but if you're not getting it out at the same time, it's just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, whereas if you do get it out, all of a sudden you just feel better. You just come to clearer and clearer. I mean, you're going to use a lot of energy detoxing, and so you might go through this transition where you got to sleep a little bit more, but it's not like you're wasted out. If you are, then you're either going too fast or you're missing something in there. And then the way that we've done this, our push-catch liver detox now, really lubricates that whole way out and then grabs it when it gets to the GI tract. And it's so asymptomatic compared to all the systems in the past.
That's awesome. So who needs to detox? Because I know you grew up, you were saying in your presentation, close to a factory. You'd come out in the morning, there was a little rain of metallic dust coming down.
Exactly.
That sounds hideous.
It's awful, but it's just like that's a showpiece. I'm like a poster boy for environmental toxicity. But everybody needs to, because we're in a world that's just a soup of toxins. We've got plasticizers all around us. You look around here, there's no weeds out there in the field there. That's because they've been hosing that thing down with herbicides and pesticides, and they're all over the place. And then we started insulating our buildings all real well, and now they don't breathe, and now we have mold all in there, and all the toxins trapped inside the building instead of ventilating. Then there's the plasticizers that are in everything. We're drinking bottled water all the time, and it's in plastic bottles. Our food's all wrapped in plastic wrap. There are so many different toxins. And the other thing is that we're under a lot of stress now. We're also go, 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 go. That's called sympathetic overdrive in your autonomic nervous system. And it shunts energy away from detoxification. So we're chronically not detoxifying while being exposed to so many different things. And so everybody needs to go through some rounds of formal detox and then integrate these supplements into their daily routine so that they're intermittently using them.
I mean, I think toxins come from quite odd sources, don't they? I mean, when I did your mercury testing, I've never had mercury fillings. And I was thinking, well, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
But something's not quite right. This was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It came up, wow, it must have been because I ate a lot of tuna when I was growing up.
It was the fish.
Every day, canned tuna as a student, put it in a bowl of pasta.
Exactly. That's like a great, protein source for not a lot of money. And unfortunately, it's cranking high with methylmercury, and that's 95% uptake of that. And so a lot of people miss that.
Do you recommend people don't eat tuna at all?
Yeah, pretty much. Or just, it's all a question of balance. How often do you eat tuna? Now, you can eat anchovies and sardines and kippers, real small fish. You can eat them 3 times a day for your whole life and never get mercury toxic. But big tuna can have 1,000 times more mercury, 100 to 1,000 times more mercury than an anchovy.
No way.
Yeah, so it's a question of decision of where you are on the food chain. Tuna and swordfish are the worst. Tony Robbins, case in point, went from being a vegan to being a paleo guy. And, guys who are vegans, they don't eat the hoofed creatures. And so they go to fish. And he thought he'd bring in nice, clean tuna and swordfish from Hawaii. Well, Hawaii's super high mercury, and tuna and swordfish are the highest level fish. And so he, until last week, had the highest level I ever measured.
Now, you worked, because I saw Tony Robbins in London about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You worked with Tony Robbins, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
What happened there?
Well, he had the highest level until last week I'd ever measured. Yeah. And he was having extreme...
The highest level of mercury?
Yeah. Look at your blood test and your total, say your methylmercury level, it was probably somewhere between 3 and 8 parts per billion.
Yeah, I think I was in that 60th or 70th percentile.
Oh, yeah, that's not all that high.
Okay.
And so that would be 3.
Okay.
And he was 125.
What? And this is a guy that does loads of detox stuff. I mean, he's healthy, right?
He is now. He was exhausted and very foggy and becoming forgetful. He was having classic mercury symptoms. And his wife, Sage, called me, and we put him on a very aggressive detoxification. And he talks about that on the Tim Ferriss podcast. And we got his level. I think last time I saw him, he was 1.4, from 125.
Wow.
So, and we did that all without chelators. You do that by just upregulating the glutathione system.
So you don't use chelators then?
I don't use. I use a little bit of EDTA, liposomal EDTA, but I don't use DMSA or DMPS. Okay. Those are the classic mercury chelators. You do not need them, and they can create a lot more damage than good. And especially people, why are you high in mercury? Usually it's because it's a combination of your source and your detox pathways. And the detox pathways are turned down from stress, from improper nutrition, from even working out too much. It's just, where does your energy go? And all we got to do is restore the priority of the detoxification pathways and optimize them, and whoosh, you just drop it all out. And take the source away, and you'll just drop it all out.
So lay it out for people. People might be listening to this. They've seen all kinds of detox programs in the past. I mean, there's juice companies that'll sell you a juice detox.
Yeah.
That's not quite what you're talking about here, is it?
No. For mercury, say you need glutathione, then because glutathione's going to bind onto the mercury in the cells, and then you need an enzyme that does that linking. It's called a transferase, and it pulls the mercury off the proteins onto the glutathione. And then you need the transport system that moves it out of the cell into the blood. And then that transport system pulls it from the blood into the liver, and then out of the liver into the bile flow. And this is the key thing, is maintaining adequate bile flow. And this is why, the good old-fashioned bitters, like cocktail bitters, stimulate bile flow, and they stimulate you to release those toxins. So when we detox, we use liposomal glutathione to get the glutathione in. We use different plant compounds that are NRF2 upregulators, including quercetin, polyphenolic antioxidants, kind of like green tea extract. We use one called haritaki. We use a lot of lipoic acid. Those are all upregulators of the transferases. And then again the bile and bitters and PC to keep that bile flowing. And then, so you got your mercury linked to the glutathione, out of the cell, pulled into the liver, dumped into the bile. It's going to hit the GI tract. And for that methyl mercury, 95% of it's going to be reabsorbed.
Really?
Yep. And so you take a binder then. You need something to catch the toxins that come out of the bile. So you take all those things, wind up detox, you dump that out with the bile, then you throw those binders in. And we use charcoal, clay, chitosan, IMD, which is a sulfur or thiol functionalized silica for binding the mercury.
Block up the digestion a bit, all the binding, or not?
No, we use it with a lot of acacia gum and aloe to keep everything moving and fluid. And then if people are prone to constipation, they can just take a magnesium supplement. The magnesium oxides are best for that.
Yeah.
The non-absorbable magnesiums are very good laxatives. And you have to make sure that you're going to the bathroom, you're having bowel movements. But you line all that up. You get the glutathione, the transferase, the bioflow, and the binder. Everything goes swimmingly.
So people are listening and think, all right, well, maybe I've not got mercury. Everything's okay. But I hear what he's saying about environmental toxins and the fertilizer and stuff. What are the steps? Do you get tested or not?
Well, if you want to test, Great Plains Lab has something called GBL Tox, and that looks at a lot of the environmental toxins that you're exposed to.
Yeah.
You can come to us and do heavy metal testing, either the specialized mercury testing or our general nutrient and heavy metal testing.
Both, I think.
Yeah, it's best to do both. But, testing costs money, and here's the deal. You're toxic. No freaking way around it. Everybody is. And going into a nice holistic detox system like we make will help no matter what. And I always say to people, and this is just so true, I can do more for you by taking away than by putting back in. We're not malnourished in this country. We're toxic. And if I take away the toxins, your mitochondria work better, give you more energy. Your adrenals get clear and give you more energy. Your thyroid gets clear, gives you more energy. You then reactivate your immune system and you clear out all those chronic infections. You take all these inflammagens that create anxiety and brain fog away, and your brain gets more clear and your whole system works better. Detoxification is the most fundamental intervention for health.
That's awesome. You've got a lot of passion for this, haven't you?
Yeah, I do.
Now, something I'll ask everyone on my podcast is, what is one book you'd recommend and one tip for living with more energy? So it's a podcast about energy. What's one book that's had an impact for you? It can be a fiction book or something that, in terms of all your research that's had an impact.
Wow. Yeah, things like free radical biology and living systems might be a little esoteric.
That's okay. We have some people who like to go pretty deep.
Pissinger's The Extracellular Matrix. It's called Extracellular Matrix, Ground Substance and Regulation by Alfred Pischinger. It's the Bible of understanding what the science now calls the interstitium. It's what links together. It's the extracellular space where all the lymph flows and where all nutrients move and toxins move, and that's where all energy medicine happens. That's where the autonomic nervous system all moves, and keeping that clear is super, super important to health.
Now,
so that's the only one I can throw
level
up there.
Between 1 and 10. What are we
that's like this one goes to 11.
Okay, so people who actually do buy that book and start reading, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
they've gone for it.
No, I'm very impressed, and I'm writing a book this year, and so I'm going to have a book coming out on how to look at fundamental forces of dysregulation, and that being toxins and improper immune function. So it ends up being toxins, allergies, and infections, and how those interact, and how to pick your dominant path of dysregulation and how to supplement back to the middle.
Yeah, because it does seem like the whole area of detox is quite hard, even for someone who's kind of quite in it, like me.
Yeah.
It seems a bit complicated.
Yeah, I'm trying to simplify it a lot, and Learning first starts with complication as you see all these new words and all these things and everybody's saying different things and I have to have that and I have to have that and I have to have that and I have to have that. And then you get farther into it and you find fundamental triggers that are controlling everything else, and you don't have to run around like a patchwork, patching a million different things. And so, you see my new system is a 2-part system.
Yeah.
It works beautifully.
And so what was the one tip for living with more energy, vitality, and motivation?
The tip for living with more energy and vitality, it is to do what you can to keep the system clean. So detoxification, clean eating, clean living. But more important is finding time to stabilize your mind stream. Getting into more parasympathetic autonomic tone, and that means breathing exercises, heart rate variability, Taichi, yoga, meditation, mindfulness. That all has more effect on your immune and toxin and mitochondrial function than any of the stuff you put into you. Because when your body is in fight or flight, when your autonomic nervous system is in fight or flight, you turn off rest, repair, detoxification, regeneration. You go into fight or flight. So when you switch that back on, the body re-regulates and does what it has to do. So finding that time sets an autonomic tone to the body to create that clarity.
Because the body can't properly heal if it's
No, I can give
out.
you, if you're jacked over, sympathetic, dominant, all stressed, I can give you all the right things, and I'm working against the tide, and it still won't work.
So what do you do?
I do a lot of meditation and Taichi and Qigong.
I love Qigong.
Yeah.
I'm getting really into it.
Oh, yeah. I studied for about a decade and a half with 19th century Grandmaster Chen-style Tai Chi. And so we did Tai Chi and Qigong. Tai Chi, Qigong, and push hands are the core of the real Chen. This is the ancient. He lived for 3 years at the absolute Grandmaster's house. He was really good. Yang out in New York. And then I studied with Jenny Lam, who's Maoshan Taoist priestess. She had some real wild Qigongs, spontaneous Qigongs. I did a lot of time with that.
Alive and around?
She's alive. She's out in Broomfield, Colorado, near where I am.
She'd be a great person to interview, right?
She'd be great. Yeah.
That book, Josh Waitskin's book, have you read that?
No.
He was a chess champion and then he became a champion in push hands.
Oh, yeah?
And it's all about the similarities between learning to play chess and learning to be a champion in Tai Chi. It's fantastic.
Yeah. It was beautiful. Sticking and listening are the cores there. Yeah. You're listening to the energies coming into you, and you learn how to not oppose energies, but to work with them, redirect them. And that listening, feeling energy. And then in the chess thing, he's feeling for the opening. And I was always good at that. I just blanket them with energy, and as soon as they open, you just sort of roll through that. And they're like, what did you do? I'm like, just moved into your vacuum, man.
But what I love so much on this podcast, when I speak to someone like you, you're coming at this very technical topic, which is quite scientific, and then your big advice is quite esoteric, abstract. That's amazing.
Here's the kind of shit I wear.
Oh, so I need to describe this to people listening. What is that? You've got something around your neck.
This is a 6-point dorje with crystals in the middle of the dorjes, precious metals on the end, a dime in the middle, and this Metatron gig on the back.
Wow.
This is the best energy thing that I've ever had. Now, dorje, it means the indestructible light of awareness, and that was my given Buddhist name. And that's a normal dorje, just a two-sided one. And then this 6-sided hexagon was done by this esoteric enlightened dude up in California, and his monks put these things together. They're amazing. And this gig these are precious metal-coated mirrors with polarizer filters on them. This is from the bio-optics, biophoton theories of Fritz Albert Popp, and the way these German guys do this, that your body's releasing biophotons, and when you're healthy, they're coherent and polarized, and when you're unhealthy, they're discoherent. So you use different metals to take different frequencies, and you reflect them back through a polarizer filter. There's bigger ones. This is just the necklace. But if I was working on your liver, I'd start at your liver, and I'd start in this sort of vortex coming back, catching your biophotons and reflecting back a polarized signal, resetting the light field of the cells. Best energy medicine stuff I've ever found is a healing system, and then that's the best single.
So what's it called, that thing?
I don't even know. A guy walked up to me and gave it to me after a talk on CBT.
Amazing.
And I was like, that.
You said it's like a dojo?
Best. There's a place, there's a guy named Amitabha.
Yeah.
And, he says he's a reincarnate of Guru Rinpoche. And he's a white dude in California, but he's clearly quite enlightened, and he makes all these energy healing tools.
Yeah.
They're somewhere around Clear Lake. This guy just gave me this 2 days ago, and I learned how to heal with this. Thing's amazing.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Chris, thanks so much. Where can people find out more about you and the detox stuff?
Quicksilver Scientific is our main site, and you'll find all the educational stuff. If you're buying as a consumer, you'll be shifted over to Quicksilver Life, which is our retail space. And if you're a practitioner, you'll get an account and buy through Quicksilver Scientific. That'll all come together into one site in about 3 weeks, and it's loaded with videos. Our YouTube channel, Quicksilver Scientific YouTube channel, has 30 different hour-and-a-half-long webinars where I go through all this different chemistry. And on the site, we break it down into little 2-minute snippets, too. So there's a lot of info.
That's great. I bet when you work with Tony Robbins, that really raised awareness of things.
For who?
For everyone. For the public, right?
Oh,
for what
is.
you're doing. When they found out. Because I remember listening
to
Tony Robbins talking about that, and I was thinking, and he said, I was working with the best guy.
Yeah, I know. No, that brought a lot, and he's going to do some stuff for us soon that's going to bring a lot more.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, thanks so much for doing the interview. Really
appreciate you're welcome, man. That was a pleasure.
That's it. Thank you, Dr. Christopher Shade. I'm off to enjoy the delights of Paleo FX Festival. A quick reminder, last week we talked Oura Ring and tracking technology. And if you are interested in wearing an Oura Ring and tracking your sleep, depth of sleep, length of sleep, REM sleep, heart rate variability, heart rate, respiratory rate, not quite sure what to do with the information on that one, but there you go. And improving your sleep, more to the point, then you can head to ouraring.com, that's OURA ring.com, use the code Zestology, and you will get quite a bit off. I think it's either $50 or $75. It's quite a bit anyway. So yeah, use the code Zestology and you'll get that off, and let me know how you get on tracking some stuff. The good thing as well is that the old Oura Ring looked very mafioso. It was very large and chunky, and the new one, it looks like a normal ring. So I've never really been a ring guy, but now I am, and I'm quite enjoying tracking stuff. So if you head to ouraring.com, use the code Zestology, then you'll get, I think $50 or $75 off. I know that's not particularly specific, but you get something good off anyway. Okay, that's it. I'm flying back to the UK tomorrow after having been in Texas for a week or so. We've had a fantastic time. At one point, we decided to go into Texas Hill Country to check it out. I thought, Austin's great, but just for a night, we'll go into Texas Hill Country. And rather than hire a car, we thought it'd be so easy. You can hire an Uber from anywhere here, and we'll just get an Uber into the country. So we got an Uber. We got in the car, and off we went. And it wasn't that expensive. It was only about $50 to get to Texas Hill Country, an hour away. And as we got close to our destination, we were thinking, maybe we've bitten off more than we can chew here, because this is absolutely in the middle of nowhere. We'd hired this caravan, like an Airstream, and it really was so remote. There was nothing. We couldn't even get a taxi out there. So we just kind of had to take long walks and play chess and sit around. And at first I was thinking, yeah, maybe we've made a bit of a mistake here. And then we woke up the next morning, it was so calm and peaceful, and you could just hear the sounds of nature outside, and got quite cold overnight, but it was kind of getting really hot as it was warming up with the sun out. And I was thinking maybe this was a good idea after all. Then we had to hire a taxi to come all the way from Austin to fetch us, which cost us a lot more than $50. And I won't forget the cost of that in a hurry, but it was a good trip into Texas Hill Country. And now the conference is almost over, so look, thanks for listening to Zestology. Thank you to Dr. Christopher Shade. Good luck with your detox protocol, and I'll see you next time.